Hello, and welcome to the next episode of the Live Your Spa Life show. Spa life is a lifestyle that accepts that accomplishment and harmony coexist. The spa in spa life is to seek power always, seeking that power within you to step into your purpose and do your work in the world. This is nothing more perfect than having my special guest today, Amy Robeson, who is a gifted healer and spiritual mentor. She is a skilled teacher with a rare ability to clearly communicate high concept spirituality so that her students become powerful healers in their own right. I am so thrilled about this conversation. Amy, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me today. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, it's wonderful. Now, our listeners are going to want to just lean into this conversation because this is not a typical conversation that people have about how they can tap into their gifts and their innate intuitiveness and their wisdom and all of these wonderful, juicy things. And, you've been gifted with this ability to tap into the depths of one's soul desires to discover their inner dialogue that is preventing them from being in alignment with their true self. Amy, how do you do this magic?
Ah, um, it's an interesting way of looking at how we can grow as beings, and everybody has something going on inside their mind that's preventing them from really creating and having the reality that they want. And so what I have found with working with my clients, that they have something that's going on that they want, and it prevents them from moving forward or getting the house, the career, the relationship of their dreams. And so what I do with them to uncover what that dialogue is I work specifically in the Akashic field. And I have a variety of spiritual tools that I weave into our sessions together and our conversations together.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure you're wondering what the Akashic field is.
Well, I was just going to say, I know that our listeners are going to be like, so what is that? Like, I've heard that. What does that mean? So yes, please share about the Akashic Records.
Yeah, so the Akashic Records are a field of infinite possibilities. So basically, every person, every single soul on this planet has an Akashic record. And you have that Akashic record from the moment your soul is incepted. And so every word, deed, thought, and action that your soul has ever had or will have is written in this record. And you can think about this record as a field, an energy field. And we can go in and we can tap into this energy field and speak to the guardians of the records, or I also like to refer to them as the masters, teachers, and loved ones. And we can go in and we can ask them specific questions around your journey and or a struggle or something you want to manifest in order to create the thing that you're wanting to create, or to overcome the thing that you're wanting to overcome.
Right.
So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I love, one of the things I love about this is it allows people to stand in their own power, that this is something that it's your records, you can access it. And so are you more of a guide to allow them to unlock that, to be able to have access to those records?
So I have two ways that I work with them. I teach my clients how to open their own records, and then how to also open their records for their clients if they want to do this later on as a business, or want to incorporate it in what they're already doing in business. So I have students that are just wanting to increase their spirituality and have something in their toolbox, and then ones that want to take it on a lot further. I would just say that I'm a channel of light that just shows you where the door is and how to access it and ways to go about it. There's many ways to going in and accessing the Akashic field and the Akashic records. I find that a lot of people have had experience in the Akashic field with someone else, and it's very complicated sometimes on how people explain it. And I like to explain it in the most simplest fashion because I like everything to be simple and easy. And so the way that I teach is I teach a very particular method in opening the Akashic records and going in and speaking and getting direct answers. For me, I want to have support at all times in my life. Because when you feel supported, you can really start creating the things that you really want. And without support, I feel like we end up kind of treading in really deep water and almost drowning sometimes. And so when you have the Akashic records and the guardians of the records there at your fingertips, and you can get answers anytime on demand, it makes just life so much easier. And it makes business so much easier sometimes if you're a business owner.
Right. Oh, this is just so, I love this. This is just like right up my alley here because I love, knowing that simplicity, right? I'm always about simple systems, ways that you can really unlock your inner knowingness and being able to, have this tool to be able to support you. So I know you mentioned that there are many ways to access the records. Could you give us an example of like one of the ways and how you would use it and how you would go about accessing this information?
Sure. So the way that I teach my students is I teach them how to access the records through their heart space and with a particular methodology that I downloaded through the Akashic records. And I use the crystalline energy to open the Akashic records. And the crystalline energy right now is really, really important for us to really be tapping into because as carbon-based beings, we are actually shifting into crystalline energy. So our DNA is shifting from carbon to crystalline. And so if we can open the records with this crystalline energy, we actually start to activate and open up this crystalline energy in our field and in our energetic body and spiritual bodies on a totally new level. So if anybody is wanting to start to really access and open their Akashic records, one, you first have to start by learning how to tap into your heart space. And your heart space is not your heart chakra. Your heart chakra is more up here where we want to be in our heart space, and our heart space is located at the center of the chest, the tip of the sternum. And this is important because this is where your soul resides. This is where your God self or divine self resides as well. And so all important information is going to be accessed through this point. And when you can awaken that point, you can actually use it as a beacon of light to make decisions that you're in alignment with. So let's say you got a huge contract on something that you've been waiting for your whole life, but your heart space doesn't open up. It actually shrinks in and all of a sudden you feel really icky. This is a good sign that this probably isn't the best thing for you to move forward with. But let's say you got this huge contract in your heart space, it basically explodes. That's a good signal that you're in alignment with that particular contract. The other way, the ways that you can use the records itself is you can use it pretty much for anything. And what I mean by that is you can use it for figuring out what's the best health plan for you, what is the best diet for yourself, what is the best decision to make for the school you want to send your children to, or the best decision to make on creating a new program in your business. You can if you can make it into an open-ended question, it's pretty much a question you can go in and ask the records and speak to the guardians and get some advice for it. So from the simplest questions to the most complex decisions, you can go in and use them for.
Right. So I know that a lot of people, how would you distinguish going to the Akashic records from, let's say, like muscle testing or using a pendulum, or, are they similar? How are they different?
They're so different. so different. Muscle testing and using a pendulum is a yes/no methodology. So basically you're going, is this yes, is this no? And the way that I teach my clients to use the records is it's all open-ended, because if you can ask an open-ended question, you can actually receive more clarity than just saying, is this the right decision? Yes or no. And if it says yes, well, why is it the right decision?
Mm-hmm.
Or how do I go about that? So muscle testing and pendulums are great to start with. And this is like, this takes it on a totally different level of understanding of what you can do with the guidance that you're receiving. Because you can ask a question, am I in alignment with something? And the pendulum can say yes, and it can say no. So what the heck does that even mean, right?
Right, right. Now, I like the distinction with that. And I'd like to kind of go back a little bit, because some of our listeners actually aren't going to be able to watch the video, that they'll either watch it on Blog Talk Radio or they'll be listening driving in the car. And so I love for you to go over again, just the distinction between, the heart chakra and where that is. And if you can kind of explain where on the body that, the actual heart space and the distinguishing area of where people are tuning into to access their Akashic records.
Yeah. So, the heart chakra is located at the center of your chest, and it's about, I'm just trying to, if you're a woman, it's right between your breast, basically. Okay. So it'd be the same for a man too, right? Right. And then for the heart space, it's where your tip of your sternum starts to split. And so if you take your hands and you travel it down your breast, where the ribs start to split is right where the heart space is. And
so it's lower.
Yeah, so it's lower. It's not exactly, because everybody thinks everything's right at the center, right where the physical heart is, but slightly over, right? And it's right at the tip of your sternum, and you can literally draw a line with your finger to find it. And this is it's a spot that I have found most of my clients have never accessed before. And if you can just start dropping your awareness into that space, you'll really start to open your eyes to so many beautiful, magical things that you have around you, and the power that you can access within you to start being your own beacon of light. And because I found that everybody has the ability to be intuitive. Everybody has the ability and the strength and the power to really recognize and understand what it is that they are receiving from source, God, divine, however you want to fill that blank in. Right. And the more that we drop into our heart space, the more that we start to recognize these signs and start to deepen our relationship with our higher self and our teams and our guides.
Right. And just, for our listeners who maybe aren't as familiar with, the heart space or the Akashic records, how is that also different? Because a lot of people have heard about the third eye and how you receive information and things coming through here. How are they distinguished between those two as well?
So that's an amazing question. I love that. So we have all these energy points. So I'm just going to back up for just a second. So we have 7 major energy points in the body, right? And it's the rainbow. It starts at the base of the spine and works its way up. And it's, the root chakra, the sacral, the solar plex, the heart, the throat, and then the third eye, and then the crown. So we all are intuitive in some way, shape, or form. And some of our intuition, we may see, so it might be seen through the third eye. Some of us may hear really well. Some of us might just have this really deep knowing, or we might just have this sense. And so when you're in the Akashic field, what happens is you end up heightening those senses. So you still see through the third eye, you might hear, you might just have that sense, that knowing. And by working in the Akashic field itself, these, they're called clairs, will start to develop and start to strengthen. And you might end up tapping into all of your clairs as opposed to one. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I love how it's almost like a tuning fork, if you will, that now once that opens, it opens everything.
Yeah, absolutely. It just changes for me and for a lot of my clients. It's beyond just going in there and getting answers. It's discovering a new you all the way around, because you get to end up clear and heal the baggage you've been carrying around for years and years and years. And it could be this lifetime or many lifetimes ago. And it's neat because you get to step into your power in a new way. So you get to
Right.
discover a new you.
I love that. And so how might the records actually change your life?
The records from I'll share what one of my clients shared with me, because she took this course with me, and she said, you know, Amy, I took this course and I took another Akashic Record course before, but I never really understood it. And I took it with you, and I realized that this is much more than just going in and having this modality to go and help other people with. What it did is it helped me recognize that I'm divinely guided at all times, and I'm supported in so many different ways. And I feel like this is important to share, because I feel like most of society feels like they're a lone wolf and they get really caught up in the head and what's going on with everything that's going on. And, you know, social media is a drain on us, and our to-dos are a drain on us. And so when you have something like this, it allows you to start to see life with a completely different perspective and know that you're completely supported at all times.
Yeah, this is so brilliant, because this is exactly what, you know, our women entrepreneurs, you know, they're running on exhaustion and there's anxiety, and it's literally leaking the power out of them and feeling drained. And I love how this is, you know, a way of being and a way of accessing, so they actually can, you know, gather their power and stand in their power and really step into what they're really here to do. So I love how you access this for people to really step into who they are.
Yeah, it's I don't know where I would be without this particular modality in my life, because when I first learned how to access my Akashic records, I never intended on it being something that I would ever use in business. I was just very attracted to it, and I was curious, and I wanted to know about it. And pretty much I use it in all areas of my life and business. And I know that the success I've had in my business is because I've used the Akashic Records to develop, refine my offers and create offers with it. But not only that, I've used it in all relationships in my life as well, because sometimes we come into a relationship and we don't really understand why something it's not going the way we want it to go. And you can go in the records and find out, why is this happening? What is this lesson teaching me? Or why is this pattern of communication keep coming up? And you really get to understand how you operate and how you can shift the patterns and beliefs that you have to support you on the path that you're wanting to be on. And I think it's a really beautiful thing. I do want to say this because sometimes people, if they've had experience with the Akashic Records before, there's many people out there doing the Akashic Records or offering Akashic Record readings, and everybody does things a little differently. And my approach is very different than most people's approach. I don't view it as a library or a book because I believe that it is an infinite field of wisdom and an infinite field of possibilities. And the reason why I say that is because it opens up all aspects to what it is that you can use the records for. And then the other piece about this particular field is it's not fortune telling. We have a free will. We get to do whatever we want. And what I have found is I'll go into the records and I will ask, specific questions and receive specific guidance. And it's up to me if I want to use that guidance and put it into action right away. And what I have found is anytime I put this action in right away, something really magical happens. But I have free will and I don't have to do it if I don't want to, right?
Right. But when you see, you know, success after success and you see how it's really helped you move along, why would you not listen to this inner knowingness and this inner wisdom that you have? And with that, you know, Amy, did you consider yourself intuitive growing up? And do you have to be intuitive to actually access the records?
You do not have to be intuitive to access the records at all. You just have to have an open mind and an open heart to allow the information to flow through, and a lot of trust. I would say that I was intuitive as a child, but I didn't recognize I was intuitive as a child until I became an adult. And so as children, and our children are coming in more and more intuitive now than ever before. As a child, we come in naturally knowing a lot of things and we're very tapped in, but we shut off those sensories as we get older for many reasons, either religious reasons or family reasons, because we're told it's not good or it scares us. And so what we're shifting into is this new level of awakening, and you're going to see a lot more people being open to this information, because we're going to have more and more and more and more people start to tap into their intuitive spiritual gifts and start to use them to create peace in the world. Right. Which is really cool. And I can't wait to fully see it, because it's going to happen very soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, people are in the place of discovery, and it's like, you know, what can we change? What's not been working now? How can we really be part of that journey of having more joy and abundance and love and you know, really starting that journey from within? I mean, it's that inner peace that people have that they can access and then be that in the world. And, you know, one of the things I was thinking about as far as, you know, how you're utilizing this and how people can kind of really wrap their brain, because this may be a first exposure for some people in terms of, you know, the inner wisdom and the Akashic records, and it can all feel like so woo and out there, right? And so how can they distinguish between the, you know, tuning into their heart and having, you know, listening, you know, whether it's visual or sensing or how it is that they're receiving the information that they're getting? How can they distinguish that this is their true inner guidance and their wisdom and their intuition and the information coming to them, versus kind of, we hear a lot about like the monkey mind, where the mind is like, you know, spinning and having its own version of what it wants you to do, and can sometimes derail you from what is the track for you. How can you distinguish between the messaging?
So one is, I always say, lay the foundation down first, right? And so the easiest way to start to distinguish is to actually have spiritual practices in place. And spiritual practices could be, you know, meditating for 20 minutes a day or meditating for only 5 minutes a day. There is no rule on how long you're supposed to meditate. The longer, the better. However, if you're busy and you can only fit in 5 minutes to start, it will start to allow that monkey mind to start to disappear, because you're sitting in communion with your higher self. And you can think about meditation as, you know, if we think about prayer, we're asking. And with meditation, we're actually sitting and receiving. And these are when you can sit and receive, that's when the magic really starts to happen and the things start to unfold, and you'll start to receive guidance. And without the meditation practice, it's really hard to start to decipher what it is that you're receiving and if it's correct or not.
Right.
And so it starts with that, and then it comes with a lot of trust and a lot of checking in. And I always like to ask my guides to send me a sign of some sort, so I know that I'm on the path. And the more that you do this, because it's really a manifesting tool, if you really think about it, the Akashic Records is a manifesting tool, and you can use it to manifest anything you want. And so to start to trust what you're receiving, you can ask for a sign, and the sign could be, I want to see a red flower today. And if I'm in alignment with this is true on what you're showing me, whatever it is that you're asking for, and then be open to receiving the red flower in whatever way it comes, because it could be on a commercial, it could be on someone's t-shirt, it could be actual red flower. So it's kind of cool when you start to see them, and sometimes it happens instantly or it'll happen the next day. So
yeah, I love that. I love just that open space of having that happen. So, I see how you're designing your life in such a bigger way. And one of the things I always like to ask my guests, because I really believe environment is really crucial to our experience in our life. We feel differently in our bedroom versus our office versus our kitchen. So what is your favorite room in your home and why?
So I have my own sanctuary, we'll say. And I do believe that different rooms have a different feeling. And I do all of my spiritual practices in my sanctuary. And I take time out every day for this practice. And I do not feel the same if I don't have this. And I'm a big believer in that everybody needs their own sacred space. And when you have your sacred space, it allows you to really tap into the magic that's wanting to unfold in your life. And we all have information that's waiting to be downloaded, gifted to us. And if you don't make space for it, it's really hard to. So for me, it would be my sanctuary, my spiritual room that I sit in to do my practices.
I love that. Oh, I mean, how perfect, right? Talk about being in alignment with, who you are being in the world and embracing that and creating the actual space for that, which is such a huge aspect to that. So, Amy, you and I could talk all day long, and I know that you have a free healing for people.
I do. So this healing will take you directly into the Akashic field, which is the field of infinite possibilities. And you'll get a secret message from one of the guardians of the records. And so you can go in and access the Akashic field this way to start to explore what that will look like. So.
Oh, I love this. I'm going to go check this out myself, because I just think this is just amazing. And I love anything that unlocks our wisdom and guides us, and that we trust our own knowingness, right? Standing in our own power. So many times in the world, people will look outside of themselves when really all of the answers are within us if we just access it and have that happen. So I know our listeners are going to want to connect with you. How can they do that?
They can connect with me at I'm switching my website. So, they can connect with me at theamyrobeson.com. So theamyrobeson.com. And you can connect with me on there and just hit the connect with us button.
Perfect. I love it. Okay, wonderful. So for our listeners who are listening to this conversation around, spa life and really being intentional with your life and really stepping into creating either those sanctuaries or the experience that you want to have out of your life, I also have a free gift for you to go to liferesetquiz.com. That is liferesetquiz.com. And the first step is awareness. What is working in your life and where do you need to have more support? And whether or not you are watching this here on Facebook or YouTube or Blog Talk Radio, please in there, whether you heard something differently or, maybe Amy helped open up a new awareness and something that you want either maybe have a question on or a comment, it really supports the community of other people to be able to share that so that we can expand these kind of messages. So I would love for you to put that in there. Make sure that you tag both Amy and myself so we can answer any of these questions and to connect with you and help you along in your journey. So Amy, thank you so much for your wisdom and your gifts and being so willing to share your unique gifts in the world.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed this.
My pleasure. So, all right, listeners, as always, thank you so much for connecting with us and sharing your valuable time here today. And until we connect again, live your spa life. Bye for now.